This is my May monthly wrap up. Hello, everybody. Peter the Book Lover here. I want to welcome everybody that's new here, everybody that's coming back. Welcome to my channel. I'm glad that you're here. Now, I make a lot less videos than I used to, and every month I do a monthly wrap up. I do a tag, and I do a haul video, and every now and then I'll release an audio book. That's the new schedule that I'm doing right now. And this is my monthly wrap up. This is all the books that I read this May. This is a couple days early. This is May 28th. But the book that I'm reading now, I don't think I'll finish before the month's over. So let's get into this. Now, the first book that I'm going to show you is the book that I'm working on. I've been working on this for a while. I'm doing an audio book of this. This is Flesh Rehearsal by Brian Brower, and I'm on chapter 19. It's a little bit slow moving because it's hard to find time to have quiet so I could do it without background noise. But I'm working on this slowly, and pretty soon I'm going to have the full audio book of this. And believe it or not, this Brian Brower wrote a lot of books. And this is a pretty enjoyable book. I'm enjoying it so far. Flesh Rehearsal by Brian Brower. This is Verbal Judo. This is written by George J. Thompson. And this is a cop, a doctor, and, a kung fu master, and an author of Verbal Judo. And this is a very interesting book. I enjoyed this quite a bit. This has some great advice. This teaches you how to deal with people that are hard to deal with. This also teaches you how to avoid conflict. Also, it's an interesting look at police officers. Me, myself, I actually really admire police officers. I know there's some bad ones, but there's a lot more good ones than there are bad ones. And one interesting thing about this is it talks about the Rodney King incident. And a funny thing is the people that committed the Rodney King incident were about to take this course. And we wonder if they took this course, they could have avoided that. And if they avoided that, California could have avoided a huge riot. Yes, this was very good. I liked it quite a bit. It took me a little while to get through. And yeah, very good advice. I enjoyed it. This is Tyre. This is about the god of war. This was written by Christopher E. Long. And this has great artwork in this. This is very short. I finished this in 5 minutes. And it's a pretty interesting story. It's kind of funny. The Loki and another god got together and they had a child. And the child was a wolf. And this is the story on how Tyre, the god of war, actually deals with this wolf. One interesting thing about the God of War, Tuesday is God of War Day. So every Tuesday, let's celebrate the God of War. Yes, I enjoyed this for a very short book. At the same time, I read this book as well. This is another book that took me 5 minutes to read. This was very interesting, although I knew a lot of the information already. But I didn't know the exact dates and exactly where he was born. I learned a couple things from this, but there's a lot of information that I already knew. This is a fantastic leader. I thought his march on Washington was justly needed. It was about time that we treated each other as equal. And this happened back in 1964, I believe. I can't remember exactly, but yeah, this is around in the 60s. He marched on Washington and he really got equal rights passed. Dr. Martin Luther King. Okay, and this is something that I read constantly. Every day I read a little bit of the Bible. I'm not pushing it on you, but I enjoy the Bible quite a bit. I love the message that it's giving me. And I finished the Old Testament. I already I've completed the whole thing. This is the first time I made it through the whole Old Testament. And now I've got it down. Although I'm going to be reading this again. This is something that I'm probably going to be studying for the rest of my life. The Bible. You should read it. Although, if you don't feel like reading it, no pressure from me. Although, it's a good idea to read it. The next book that I read this month was Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck. And I enjoyed this, but this is my 5th favorite John Steinbeck book. My favorite is Of Mice and Men. The next one is Of East of Eden. And then I liked The Pearl. And then I also liked The Red Pony. And this is the one. I like this, but at the same time, this is not as great as I thought it would be. I was expecting this to be a lot better. I thought this was going to be like Of Mice and Men, but longer. And it's interesting. This was a very interesting book. There's a lot of things that was interesting. It's amazing on how much work they did for a nickel. A nickel was a big deal to these people. And $1 a day, they were struggling to get that. This is a story of white people wanting to pick cotton. They actually were wanting to pick cotton, and they wanted to pick fruit. They were from Oklahoma, and they went to California. Yes, and this is a decent book. I would not say to avoid it, but do not expect this to be an incredible novel. It's interesting. There's a writing style that it's got a descriptive paragraph. It's I forgot what they called it, but it's a unique style of writing. It's like not usual, It's it's hard to explain it. It's like almost like a third person perspective, and it's like not really covering one character. It's like they talk about a character, and all the characters are kind of related to this, so it's unique. I wouldn't avoid it, but at the same time, do not expect a fantastic novel if you read this. Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck. Okay, the next book that I read this month, I actually did an audiobook for. This is The Titanic, Lost and Found. This was written by Judy Donnelly, and this is a pretty interesting book. Most of the information here I already knew. One funny part about this book is there's a guy that was on a door, and it made me think of the movie Titanic. I don't know what you think of the movie Titanic by James Cameron, but I actually really like that movie a lot. But at the time when it came out, I thought it was goofy. I really didn't like it that much when I first seen it. But then I watched it again, and I loved it. And then I watched it again, I loved it even more. It's a fantastic book. There's one thing that I would like to change about the movie. I wish they didn't have sex. It kind of cheapens it. But that scene when he's drawing her, I love that scene. It's fantastic. And I love the special effects of the movie. This is a very interesting story. And yeah, you should check out the audiobook. I did an alright job. I did my best. It took me 17 minutes to record it, and then it came out to a 15-minute audiobook. That means that I spent 2 minutes making mistake after mistake after mistake, but I'd hear my mistakes and correct it, and then I had to edit it. So I worked pretty hard on it. It took me about 45 minutes to put it together. And if you read it, I hope you enjoy it. Titanic, Lost and Found. Check it out. The next book that I read this month is Beloved by Toni Morrison. And now, the story is a decent story. The story doesn't bother me, but the writing style is not fun. This is a lot like Portrait of an Artist as a Young Man by James Joyce. Very confusing writing, and it's like really hard to know what's going on. As a matter of fact, if you want to read Beloved, I suggest that you read a summary of the story so you have an idea what's going on, and I think you will enjoy this book a lot more opposed to just reading it without knowing anything about this book. I have a feeling if I read this a second time, it'd be a lot clearer, but the first time, without knowing what's going on, I was a little confused reading this one. I really did not have a good time with this book. I would not recommend it, but at the same time, this is a winner of the Nobel Prize in Literature, and a lot of people love this, so I'm not saying don't read it, but I myself personally, if I could go back in time, I would tell myself, pick another book. You're not going to like this that much. Maybe I might have liked it a lot more if I would have watched the summary first, or a movie of this first, and then read the book. That way you might enjoy it more, because then you know who's who, but it's not a very descriptive book, and I was confused and trying to figure out what was going on as I was reading this. Beloved by Toni Morrison. Read it at your own risk. Okay, and this is the book that I'm halfway through now. I'm not going to be able to finish this before the month's over. Maybe. I might be able to make it because today is the 28th. I'm reading this pretty quickly because I really enjoy this book. This is a really good Stephen King novel. I'm surprised more people do not recommend this because this is very good. And this is something that I'm familiar with the movie, and I like the story a lot. This is a rare case where I actually enjoy a ghost story, and this is like a ghost story, but by it being a car that's haunted, it's like the scariest ghost story that you can have because it's something that can kill you that's haunted, which is pretty cool. I like it quite a bit, and I have a feeling I'm going to enjoy this whole book because it's good. I like this a lot. 500 pages, and I'm halfway through. Okay, that's what I've been reading this month, and that's not really a lot, but that would be a lot less if I was still making a lot of videos. So I'm glad that I'm actually going to focus more on reading, because that's what I'm doing this. I'm doing a booktube channel because I want to get more reading done. I want to improve my reading skill. And I'm getting better. I'm not highly educated. I just have my GED. I didn't even graduate high school. I kind of dropped out when I was really young. And I regret it now, but I'm still trying to improve myself now that I'm older. It's funny, I dropped out, and by the time I hit 30, I'm a little bit older than that, that's when I really had the desire to start learning. So I wish I didn't make those decisions. But at the same time, maybe if I stayed in school, I'd have a different career, and I wouldn't have the time to read the books that I'm reading right now. Okay, so that's about it. I do not know what I'm going to be reading after Christine. I literally do not make plans on what I'm going to read because I try to finish all the books that I read. I'm one of the type of people that do not DNF books. I try to finish them. Like, I was not getting into Beloved by Toni Morrison, and if I was the type of person to DNF books, I wouldn't have finished it. But I'm glad I did. That's the thing. If you read books like I do, there's a great feeling when you finish a book that you really don't enjoy. There's something to that. And also, check this out. I've got a different camera angle. I think I found a great way to get this better camera angle. I hope you enjoy it. You could actually see what shirt I'm wearing. This is my Cheech and Chong shirt. Although I have not smoked weed for about a month now, I've quit. I also quit drinking soda pop, and I feel wonderful. I thought I'd be tired all the time, but believe it or not, I still have some energy. Okay, that's it for this video. I want to thank you for coming by. If you like what you see, please subscribe, and next month, check out my next videos. I will see you next month, and you have a nice day.